All right, so with today, we're doing more solving and no new steps, but one thing that we need to remember that before we even really look to identify the type of function is we want to simplify either side of the equation. And one thing that you'll notice already in the opener, we've kind of flipped the equations around, so nothing changes there. Everything is still going to be the exact same. So if we see parentheses, we'll look to distribute. So I get -3, and then I'm multiplying the 8 and the 6 to get 48 absolute values of x, and then 8 times 7 to get 56. Remember, anytime we distribute, you distribute to every single thing in the parentheses there. Okay, then we're not considered simplified until we've combined all like terms. So then I can add -3 and 56, making this 48 absolute values of x, and then plus 53, and it equals 341. So it's at this point that we could draw a graph and think about how many solutions we could get. Also a good idea to, at least if we haven't at this point, identify the type of function. I've been saying it as we've been solving it because we have the absolute value brackets, and that's this absolute value function here. So I'm guessing that we're going to get either two solutions. We have the one solution option with absolute value, and then no solution is always a possibility now. So now I'm going to work in the reverse order of operations. So undoing any subtraction or addition. We have 48 times the absolute value of x plus 53. And I'm going to undo the adding of 53 by subtracting it. And so I have 48 absolute values of x equals, what is that, 298? Is that right? Let's just get a calculator. 288. 288. Then I can divide both sides by the number in front of the absolute value. So divide by 48, where I get that the absolute value of x equals 288 divided by 48, which is 6. And an absolute value, and this is why we push ideas of graphs. Most of the time, we're going to get two solutions. So if the absolute value equals a whole number, then our solutions are x equals plus or minus 6. Either number there, positive 6 or negative 6, if I take the absolute value of it, we'll turn to positive 6 there. All right, then part B. This is different in the sense that all the work that we need to do is now on the right side of the equation rather than the left. Other than that, it's the exact same as what we've been doing. So look to simplify. This time, I'm noticing that I have a -6, and that's so important. That'll by far be one of the most common mistakes that I see from you all, is that you'll distribute that as a +6. So make sure when we're looking to multiply or distribute, you're looking at the sign before the number that you're distributing. So that makes this 48x, and then minus 48x, and then plus 36. And this actually works out fairly quickly, because when I go to continue to simplify on the right side and add up all my x's, they cancel out. And so I get -258 equals 36. And so remember that anytime that we get variables that cancel out, we bring the possibility of either having no solution or infinite solutions come into play. And it all depends on whether or not we have a true or a false statement. So with this being false, right, those definitely are not equal. That leads us to conclude that there is no solution. So there's no value of x that we can plug in that would make this equation true. Okay. Everything on the rest of this page are just reminders. We've changed the steps. We don't follow all these steps exactly. I want to point out one thing, though, about this step right here, get one side of the equation equal to 0. For those of you that have been doing homework the right way, where you're doing it and then checking it, you should notice that there's a step on the answer keys that is always getting one side to equal 0. I'm not asking us to do that in this class, but Mr. Hickman's the one that's been making the answer keys. He is doing that. So you're going to see that in every problem, where instead of like if I look at this warm-up problem here, instead of minusing 53 to start, he's minusing 341 to get that to be 0, and then adding it back over. So you're going to see an extra step when you check your work on the answer key. Okay, there's more of a long-term reason why he's doing that. I'm not asking you to do that. Just know that the answer key for the work is going to look a little bit different. Okay, that's really the only thing I want to mention there. Types of solutions. This is what we talked about on Friday. Depending on the type of function, what solutions we can get. And then we introduced that we can get no solutions and infinitely many solutions, or excuse me, no solution, infinitely many solutions for every function if the variables eliminate. Okay, well, let's go and flip this page over. I don't know that we need to do a whole lot more. Let's see, which one looks the scariest? Huh? Any of these look ugly? 9, that's what I was thinking. Wait, there's no 9. I was thinking 5. There's no 9. 4? You want to do 4? Let's do 4. Yeah, let's do 4. We'll pick like 3 of these to go over and then get y'all going on the homework. All right. So with 4 here, I'm noticing that I've got some distribution that needs to happen. I'm seeing 2 sets of parentheses, so 2 places that I need to distribute. So I'm going to distribute the 11. So I have 9 equals 66x squared. And then 11 times 11 is 121. And then once again, I have another 11 to distribute. I'm going to just make sure that I'm distributing it as a positive because of the sign that comes before it. So I get negative 66x squared, and then 11 times 4 is 44. All right, so then combining like terms, the first thing I'm noticing is I have this positive 66x squared, but then a negative 66x squared, so those eliminate. The left side is still 9, but on the right side I still need to add 121 and 44 to get to 165. Because that is a false statement, we conclude that this is no solution. All right. Let's do an absolute value, and then I'm going to pick one more for you all to do, and we'll call it good. Any questions this far? Really nothing new today, so maybe just some good reminders as to everything we've been working on. Yeah. Number 8? Sure. And I'll have you all do the absolute value. That sounds good. All right, 8. I'm noticing the x squared, so I am seeing that this is a quadratic equation. I can get 2 solutions, 1 solution, or maybe even no solution. I'm noticing that I need to distribute to start. And when I'm distributing here, that first number that's getting distributed is a negative 11, making it negative 33x squared, and then minus 77. And I'll distribute the 5 to get 25x squared, plus 30, and then plus 8x, and it equals negative 6. That's a typo. Yeah. What's that? On 6? These are all typos for all those. Let's continue with 8, and then we'll look at number 6 here. But this needs to be an x squared. If that is just an x, then we have to introduce this whole idea of something called factoring. You will learn how to factor second semester. That is not something we're going to do right now. Okay, so let's just make them x squareds. And then now let's combine them. So when I've got like 3 things to combine, I'm noticing that this is negative. These are positive, so 25 and 8. Isn't that 33x squared? Now to cancel with the negative 33x squared. So really all these x squareds, they eliminate. Okay, 8 plus 5 gets us to the positive 33. And then minus 33x squared, they all go away. So negative 77 plus 30. is negative 47. It equals negative 6. That is not true. So once again, we see that this is false, and thus there's no solution. Yeah, that would have been an X. That would have made this a lot different. But yeah, it's just a typo there. Okay. It sounded like there's another typo with 6. Is that what you all are saying? Yeah, that M is supposed to be either make them just M's or just X's. Let's make them an X. So X. I don't want you to do 6. So why don't we end by everyone doing, I want to do this absolute value one. Let's do number 2. Okay, number 2, and then we'll call that good. I'll come around with homework, and you'll have lots of time to work on homework today. Okay. So here's how number 2 should have worked out for you all. First distributing, and you're distributing the negative 10. That makes that a positive 70 absolute value of x. And then negative 10 times positive 10 is negative 100. And then minus 8, and it equals negative 318. Then I'm going to combine like terms. Negative 100 and negative 8 is negative 108. And it's at this point right here where a graph could be really helpful. And in fact, I'm going to actually draw one this time. Okay, because with this graph, the right side being negative 318, that puts that vertical line really far down. It puts the vertex of the absolute value graph down 108, so not quite that far down. And then the positive 70, which is that A value, has us opening up. And so I'm noticing that this absolute value graph does not intersect with the line that tells us our solutions. And thus, the graph is telling me no solution. In the equation, I'm getting to a point where the absolute value needs to equal a negative, which can't happen. And so thus we conclude no solution. And this was like the whole lesson today. Everything's no solution, but in different ways. Right? Number 2, we got it because of the absolute value, not because of the terms eliminating. But yeah, at this point, we've covered just about everything we need to with the solving.